Believe it or not, I've spent the last 20 years as an entrepreneur. Believe that or not. I'm 36 years old. I started my first business at the seat in my geometry class in high school. I can remember his name was Mr. Hitzman. He was a short little guy, and he was like a Harvard valedictorian in math, right? So totally really not typically a guy that I'm going to get along with generally, because I was probably messing around at my desk most of the time. I couldn't actually remember Mr. Hitzman. He was kind of like a parent, right? For the parents in the audience, you kind of remember when you get the maddest at your kids when, at least I do, I get the maddest at the kids when I just know they know better. And I knew better to not turn in homework or to not pay attention in class, but I wanted to grow a company. Fast forward to today, I work with literally thousands of advisors who all look to drive significant companies. Significant companies are ones that are highly valuable, transferable, ready and attractive, that are aligned to the business owner's business, personal, and financial goals. That last part, likely the most important, this alignment of these three critical elements or items. Now, I think for owners, it's probably our biggest struggle. We talk a lot about generations and ages, but typically across the board, from the entrepreneur who's just starting to perhaps the baby boomer who's trying to exit into the next act or phase of their life, we all tend to struggle with two or three, or maybe one or two, or maybe all three of the legs. Certainly the personal, financial. It's probably for all of you as their advisors, likely one of your biggest struggles as well as you on this journey to help them get aligned. Hell, guys, even me, the president and one of the owners of the Exit Planning Institute, struggles with the alignment of the personal and personal financial. Now, looking back over the last 20 years of this entrepreneurial journey I'm in, you can imagine that there's a ton of lessons that you learned. If I had a filter and I filtered those all the way down as I reflected on what I wanted to talk about to all of you today, I could probably filter them over the 20 years to just two. The first happened at age 24. That's the age that I exited my first company. Now, you kind of got to rewind a little bit to understand a little bit of the come from. I never really had like the typical high school job, right? I'd never bagged groceries. I never flipped burgers. I never pushed shopping carts. Hell, I don't even think I threw a newspaper around. But what I did do for maybe 3 months, I was a janitor at an all-boys high school, the high school that, in fact, I attended, St. Edward High School in Lakewood, Ohio. I started as a classroom cleaner. I would stay after school for a couple hours to make some additional cash and just clean classrooms, take the trash out. At that time, we had still chalkboards, believe that or not, and so I would wash the chalkboard. That summer, they asked me, hey, Scott, we like your work ethic. Can you stick around and can you help us on our summer crew? And the summer crew would strip paint, repaint stairs. That one year that the few months that I did it, we even redid the varsity locker room. Little did I know when I entered that next school year, Russell, who was the director of maintenance, asked me, he said, Scott, we definitely like your thoroughness. We want to join the janitorial staff. I said, sure. In fact, I got one of those zip-up suits with a name badge and one of those push carts with the mop bucket. And I said, this is kind of cool. When I was walking through the hallway with my buddies after school, they're like, dude, man, you got a patch and you got an elevator key? This is crazy. And I lasted in that job for about 2 weeks because, if you can imagine, in an all-boys high school, the bathrooms are quite nasty. And I would say I'm about maybe 10 days into this thing. I'm mopping around the stalls, and I literally puke on the ground. And I said, this job is not for me. At that moment, I said, look, I am very passionate about landscaping. That's what I want to do. So I sat down in geometry class and spent then the next 8 years running and growing a company. Now, my first lesson, age 24, I exit that company, and my first lesson is I lost my identity. I let my business define me. Now, I didn't really know this at the time, but this was my first encounter with discovering personal purpose. In doing research for this very speech, do you guys know that roughly 75% of Americans cite that they do not have a clear sense of purpose or meaning in their lives? And herein lies our first problem as business owners. Why don't business owners plan personally or personally financially? Well, some in the audience today said, well, they're not informed about the three legs of the stool, Scott. Some might say they're concentrated on income generation and not value creation. Some might say, hey, they need a SEPA to educate them on what the process is. They're just uneducated about what exit planning really can do for them. Now, although all of that is true, the problem runs much deeper than that. They lack personal purpose. How can one plan for the next act or the next acts of your life if you don't even know what your life even means? Today, advisors go out and educate them on this three-legged approach, and again, although valid, they will fail if they don't understand their owner's clear purpose and the owners don't have one. Without purpose, you cannot align these three legs of the stool. You will not go to as a significant exit. Now, after exiting my company, I spent the next 8 or call it 10 years thinking I actually found that missing part. Do not let your business define you. In 2012, I dumped the construction boots, the khaki pants, this tucked-in green polo that we used to wear to service clients' properties and their landscaping needs, and I dumped that to buy the Exit Planning Institute with my dad, to put on a much more professional suit and tie and work with a way more professional environment with all of you. And again, I was concentrated on what I loved, and what I loved was growing companies. So from 2012 to about 2020, we grew that business. We went from 180 SEPAs in 2012 to nearly 1,000 SEPAs as we ended 2019. Now, in March of 2020, our pandemic hit. EPI literally had zero revenue. We had the next 3 programs canceled for our Certified Exit Planning Advisor Credentialing Program. We canceled Atlanta in March, we canceled Cleveland, Ohio in April, and we canceled Chicago in May. Some of you might have been actually in one of those classes. Now, I can tell you we were all pretty nervous. Dad and I certainly very nervous. Our people were nervous. And I think that everybody probably in this crowd at some point during that time, that spring and then summer of 2020, was uneasy at best. However, the Exit Planning Institute team, if you know them, we're a pretty gritty crowd. We rallied and we created and recreated the SEPA program in a total virtual platform, this online platform that advisors during a pandemic could still come and learn so that we could better help business owners. Now, from the outside in, many of you would say EPI popped out victorious, certainly a big win. But for me, there was something still critically missing. Our culture seemed off. Our people seemed very disconnected. And I think in natural small organizations, you kind of turn to the leader, and the team turned to me. And herein lies my second lesson over this 20 years of being an entrepreneur. Although we were certainly operating in the value acceleration methodology, we were running a high-growth company, and from the outside in, we looked like a well-oiled machine. We were definitely cracking. Why? Because I, lacked personal purpose. And for those of you that have, in fact, found your personal purpose, you know that with purpose comes a sense of core values, in fact, a shaping of core values to use. And what I didn't know is that, for the most part, from way back in 1986 when I was born, all the way to 2019, I've lived a pretty damn good life. Not a lot of complaints. So kind of unbeknownst to you, when you don't have purpose or core values, you kind of walk around in a disjointed type way, not really ever knowing if you're truly making the right decisions for you and your family, for your business, for your personal plans, or your personal financial plans. So, in about, I would say, mid to late Q3 of 2020, me and the EPI team entered a transformational leadership program. And although I knew a lot about the program, trusted the advisors a part of the program, if you know me and know me well, I'm not a rainbows, butterflies, bubbles, and clouds kind of guy. I'm a dirt kind of guy. And so I knew when I went into this program, it felt uncomfortable enough where I almost pulled the plug. So I knew, though, that our team needed it. I knew that I had to immerse myself in it. Not only did I learn, folks, the importance of personal purpose, but I found my own purpose as well. And for those of you that have found purpose, with purpose comes clarity. My personal purpose today is to be the catalyst for experiences for others. When I say it, I kind of smile. My family's in the front row here. I've probably done it my entire life. It's a natural fit. In fact, oddly enough, guys, since 2012, I owned a company that does, in fact, just that. Just like this week here today, we provide transformational experiences to professional advisors. Hell, if you're a business owner adopting the value acceleration methodology, it will drastically change the outcome of your business. I think if you flow all the way back to the state to being a landscaper with my company, M&S Connection Landscaping, keeping your yard green and clean, what you would find is that I love developing landscapes for people because their families would walk out into patios. People would go to the apartment complex and be like, wow, I really want to live here, creating experiences both for our customers and for other people. If you run deeper in my life, to share a little, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm a big RV guy, and that RV stands for experiences. For those of you that have hung out there with me, we do things that we thought we've never done. We experience things that we thought we'd never experienced. We see things that we thought we've never seen. In fact, at the end of this month, in about 3 or 4 weeks, we will pack 10 people in that RV, 10 family members, and go to the Indy 500. I've been doing it for 15 years. In fact, I think 15 years I've done it. I missed one because our director of business development decided to get married on Memorial Day weekend. However, the RV certainly is certainly an experience. I'm also a minister. I was, a few years ago now, my head sister and her now husband, Dan, asked me to be the officiant at their wedding, creating another memorable experience. I then, just a couple of years ago, was the officiant in my best friend, Dan, another Dan, in his wedding. And I, this fall, have the privilege and honor, for those of you that know John, our member experience representative, he's marrying his beautiful fiancee, Sydney, and they've asked me to be their officiant as well. My life is all about creating experiences for myself and for others. So as we ended the year 2020, we typically end our company's year with going on a retreat. We go on about a 3-day executive team retreat, and we always lead that retreat with a 1-day offsite where everybody from the part-time office assistant to the executive and the owners and everywhere in between can contribute to our overall strategic direction, but 2020 was different. What we did is actually rewrite a whole new 3-year strategy for our business, the Exit Planning Institute. And if you heard Gino, you've heard Vern, you've heard Chris, when you write these 3-year strategies, you get new sense of metrics, core values, vision, and purpose. And for EPI, that purpose had evolved from change the outcome to we want to build significant companies for business owners. And in order to grow those significant companies for business owners and educate all of you as their professional advisors, we then found that we needed about 3 core capabilities. We knew that internally at EPI, we needed to be able to drive experiences, we needed to be able to bring together people, and we needed to stay innovative and creative and ahead of the game. As we investigated this, what we then came to find, in order to grow significant companies as advisors to owners, you as well need to embrace experiences, people, and innovation, because I think that we can all say rising tides raises all, and it takes a village to help a business owner grow something of significant. I actually will go on to say that I think it's the missing and overlooked element of the entire value acceleration methodology. Why? Because I think it's human nature. I think it's a part of our DNA. I think it's a part of who we are. Whether in small or in large form, I think everybody in the room wants some type of experience that inspires them. They want an experience that's memorable. They want an experience that maybe is transformational. Whether you're wildly introverted and want to go get a cabin in the woods over the next few years as we see how things shake out in our world, or you're wildly extroverted like me, I think people want people. People want a sense of community. They want connection with people. And last but not least, in a small way or in a big way, I think people want innovation. They want to be able to create in their own way, whether it's creating a whole company, creating a value acceleration methodology, or simply cooking a damn good meal for the family to come home to and enjoy. People want an environment where they can create. So knowing that, and knowing that business owners are in fact people too, who want purpose, experiences, people, and innovation, I say, why don't we go home and deliberately tap that? I think it's the key to unlocking all of the value acceleration methodology. In fact, I think it's the missing part. I think it's the key to unlocking this alignment of the three legs of the stool. So as we entered 2020, I believe Dad and I, my business partner, my father, my best friend, are closer actually than we've ever been before. Maybe you could check me on that at the after party and see what he says. Nonetheless, what I do know for a fact that our team is more together than they've ever been. Our culture is well defined and people love it. In fact, EPI last year won an award for Best Employee of the Year. And I believe all of you, when I look at all of you, I think our community is stronger than it's ever been. The summit is the largest we've ever seen. And in the last 2 years, EPI has gone from 1,000 SEPAs to nearly 4,000 SEPAs. I believe the community is empowered. I believe we feel like we're a part of something much bigger. Guys, at least from my viewpoint, that all began with the owner and the operator of the business finding his personal purpose, embracing experiences, people, and innovation. I challenge you to find yours if you don't know it, because I could tell you it's liberating. And when you find yours, help your business owner clients find theirs. It's the key to unlocking the value acceleration methodology, living this value acceleration-centric lifestyle, and aligning your three legs of the stool. Not only will you be on your way to growing more significant companies, but you'll be on your way to growing more significant people. Thank you.